you have no confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. A people without knowledge of their past, history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. Liberate the minds of men, and ultimately you will liberate the bodies of men. Men who are earnest, but not afraid of their consequences. They try to put my soul in a black hole, but didn't realize this melanin is gold. That's why I shine with this little light of mine.
All right. It's now that time for Civics for the Culture. I'm your host, Bennie, aka Poetically Williams III, and we're here today for another day to get it in and to learn how to be more strategic in this system, this government. Oh man, life is like a roller coaster. However, remember, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a politician. However, I'm someone just like you that has access to information, to be educated, to be insightful, and to learn how this system has been set up, this government system, these laws, regulations, policies have been enacted, enabled, and set up, and what has happened, transpired throughout history that is created actions where Black people of color aren't being treated with integrity. People of color aren't being treated with love. People in color aren't treated by just being citizens and having just humanity. And we're going to talk about that more into how with different cases, laws, with different policies, regulations have been in place to really be against people of color, and to be against and that really just not even just people of color, but just people that aren't being served justice in general. So this is what Civics of the Culture is about. And today we've been talking a lot about police, whether it's the origin of police, and you can go through our episodes to see the origin of police, whether it's understanding that the origin of slave patrols, understanding the mapping police violence. We've talked about police brutality, police violence, and how that's occurred throughout the country in different areas. We've talked about, go through on different episodes to see is some valuable information. Campaign Zero is pushing 8 Can't Wait. We talked about 8 Can't Wait, which the importance of that is implementing these 8 policies within police departments that are going to hold police accountable. And that is what we want to do. We want to hold people that have this quote unquote authority, this quote unquote power, because they have a badge, because they have a gun, because they have these weapons, and they feel like they can have cuffs to handcuff you and take you somewhere, that we need to hold those people accountable. So it starts by us, because for the people, by the people. Let's strictly like that. And I think if holding the police accountable is one section, and one of the many facets of correcting and now balancing out this systematic racism, these unjust situations that we find in this system. And I believe police is definitely a big part of it. That's who incarcerates us. They're not judging. They're not judge and jury. However, they act like that a lot, unfortunately. And we have some good cops out there. I feel like you have to always say that when you're condemning the bad. But I'm sorry, we live in this world where we're seeing we run into too many instances with cops not protecting and serving people of color. So we have to make a stand for it. Even if you are someone that's in the force, you're doing right, you shouldn't be offended by anything this show ever says, because you know that you're being the type of person that wants to actually protect and serve. You're not out here abusing your badge. You're not out here abusing your quote unquote power. You're actually using your power for good. So if you ever listen to anything I say, if you hear the words police brutality, if you hear the words police violence, if you hear the words slave patrols, if you hear the words anything ever defund police, you should never be offended, because you understand what's happening now in society. You understand what's happening in reality. You're listening. That's the problem. We're not enough people aren't taking the time to listen to each other. The reason you have protests, the reason you have people marching, people yelling, and people constantly talking about it is because we're tired. It's the bubble popping. It's the bubble bursting. We're tired, and we have to make a stand now. And we're going to make a stand one way or the other. You have to observe it. You're going to be forced to listen, or you're going to listen on your own. I suggest to listen on your own before it becomes a forced issue, because then that's when you don't have a control of how that delivery of that message is sent to you. So With that being said, about police, whether it's mapping police violence, it comes a sense of understanding in our own neighborhoods and our own quality of living is community policing, which has been a conversation that's been over years. I mean, we haven't seen the full structure of that probably since the Black Panthers within the black community. And there of course been gangs and things of that nature, but I mean, far as the essence of going strictly against the government and community and a community that comes together within our own, probably since the Black Panther. And what I want to actually, let me give you a quick definition of community policing, because we often talk about community policing, but what truly is community policing? So community policing is a philosophy that promotes organizational strategies that support the systematic use of partnerships and problem solving techniques to proactively address the immediate conditions that give rise to public safety issues such as crime, social disorder, and fear of crime. So, in other words, community policing is really working together as whatever that agency may be, whatever that organization may be that's there to provide that safety net, but also build solutions within the community to work on how to not have these issues, work on issues for far as well, let's go into it. 3 keys to community policing. And this right here can be found on COPS. I'm on the web reading some of these pointers, and this is actually, we're going to talk about community policing in this episode, but I might label this as community policing episode lesson number 1, because while we're going to talk about community policing, one of the first things that I want to bring up through this after we read through these 3 components is the broken windows theory, which I think should be the first theory that we kind of address and really understand and really learn as I'm learning about it myself. And when we talk about community policing, we'll get into that. So the 3 components that I've read here on cops.usdoj.gov when it comes to community policing are community partnerships, organizational transformation, and problem solving. Now I'm going to go into each one of those keys, but these are the 3 keys: community partnerships, organizational transformation, and problem solving. Going into community partnerships, collaborative partnerships between the law enforcement agency and the individuals and organizations they serve to develop solutions to problems and increase trust in police. So that's like going to what I first was talking about with community policing and what it really sounds like in the neighborhood, what it really kind of looks like in that neighborhood is collaborative partnerships between the law enforcement agency and the individuals and organizations they serve to develop solutions, not just attack, but develop solutions to problems and increase trust. Let's underline that. Increase trust in police. Increase trust. So that's community partnerships. These are the 3 keys to community policing. The second one, organizational transformation. The alignment of organizational management, structure, personnel, and information systems to support community partnerships and proactive problem solving. So the second key to community policing, organizational transformation. Organizational transformation, the alignment of organizational management, structure, personnel, and information systems to support community partnerships and proactive problem solving. So if you're already developing ways to not get this person in trouble, if you're developing ways to not allow this situation over here to happen that you're so-called looking for, then that way it solves the issue in the community. You're now serving. You're not just allowing something and then just attacking and punishing it when it happens, because you know it, because you're calculated to know that it's going to happen, especially if the community is inhibited with such, let's say, liquor stores. I mean, come on, we're going to get more into that. Let me not run through the whole show in 2 minutes. But organizational transformation is so key. The alignment of organizational management, structure, personnel, and information systems to support community partnerships and proactive problem solving. So key. The third key to community policing is problem solving. The process of engaging in the proactive and systematic examination of identified problems to develop and evaluate effective responses. I feel like I need to read that again. Problem solving is the third key to community policing. The process of engaging in the proactive and systematic examination. The process of engaging in the proactive and systematic examination of identified problems to develop and evaluate effective responses. Now, I've just read within these first however so many minutes 3 keys to community policing, not all along with the definition of community policing. One would sit here and wonder how the hell and why the hell this just can't happen. 3 keys: community partnerships, building collaborative efforts to just build trust in police and know that you have our back in solutions and working on solutions to problems. Organizational transformation, just aligning ourselves in just the structure of this organization and to create proactive problem solving. Third key: the process of engaging in the proactive systematic examination of identified problems. So once you identify a problem, if you know this problem is in this neighborhood, if you know there's an issue in this neighborhood, why are you not trying to figure out, why is there not any organizations trying to work together with the police? Why is the police not working with any organization on an effort to help, and heal, not just attack? And we're going to get into that attacking. So actually, let's get straight into it. It transitions me to our topic for today: broken windows theory. I wanted to start off by giving those definition of community policing. I also wanted to start off by talking about the 3 keys to community policing, because I think those are the 3 things that need to be continually yelled and shouted. We have to say that, and I'm going to say that more here. Those 3 keys to community policing, because it's one thing to talk about what's happening. It's one thing for me to give you stats, which educates you and gives me insight as well. But then there's another part when you have the conversation about solutions and what we can do to kind of correct the system that we're in, and that comes along with knowing some keys to what is the issue. And there's 3 right there that we can jump on ASAP. So you may ask, what is the broken windows theory? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read some different articles, read some different articles that I think give a good explanation on the broken windows theory, which is one of those theories that I was not familiar with. And one of the articles that I'm going to read is out of the Britannic. Yes. So out of the Britannic right here discusses the broken windows theory and kind of the idea that well, actually, let's just get into it and understand it. The broken windows theory. I'm going to read through it, but I'm also going to give a little bit of my spiel. I've read through this through different articles, so I'm kind of well familiar now with understanding the theory. And I'm going to kind of, if it gets kind of too technical, or I'm gonna give my kind of like just quick dive into the article as well. So going into the broken windows theory. Academic theory proposed by James Q. Wilson and George Killing in 1982. And this is an article that I'm reading on Britannica. This is written by Adam J. McKee, article on Britannica, broken windows theory. Academic theory proposed by James Q. Wilson and George Killing in 1982. They use broken windows as a metaphor for disorder within neighborhoods. Their theory links disorder and incivility within a community to subsequent occurrences of serious crime. Broken windows theory had an enormous impact on police policy throughout the 1990s and remained influential into the 21st century. Perhaps the most notable application of the theory was in New York City, under the direction of Police Commissioner William Bratton. He and others were convinced that the aggressive order maintenance practices of the New York City Police Department were responsible for the dramatic decrease in crime rates within the city during the 1990s. Bratton began translating the theory into practice as the chief of New York City's transit police from 1990 to 1992. Squads of plainclothes officers were assigned to catch turnstile jumpers, and arrests for misdemeanors increased. Subway crimes of all kinds decreased dramatically. In 1994, when he became New York City Police Commissioner, Bratton introduced his broken windows-based quality of life initiative. Broken Windows Quality of Life Initiative. This initiative cracked down on panhandling, disorderly behavior, public drinking, and street prostitution, and unsolicited windshield washing or other such attempts to obtain cash from drivers stopped in traffic. When Breton resigned in 1996, felonies were down almost 40% in New York, and the homicide rate had been halved. Now, the theory. Prior to the development and implementation of various incivility theories such as broken windows, law enforcement scholars and police tended to focus on serious crime. That is the major concern. That is the major concern with crimes that were perceived to be the most serious and consequential for the victim, such as rape, robbery, murder. Wilson and Kelling took a different view. They saw serious crime as the final result of a lengthier chain of events, theorizing that crime emanated from disorder, if disorder were eliminated, then serious crimes would not occur. That is the theory. Let's go back to that real quick. They saw serious crime as the final result of a lengthier chain of events, theorizing that crime emanated from disorder, and that if disorder were eliminated, then serious crimes would not occur. Their theory further tricky word, posits, got tricked up. Their theory further posits that their prevalence of disorder creates fear in the minds of citizens who are convinced that their area is unsafe. So let me read that sentence one more time because I jammed up that word. Their theory further posits that the prevalence of disorder creates fear in the minds of citizens who are convinced that the area is unsafe. This withdrawal from the community weakens social controls that previously kept criminals in check. Once this process begins, it feeds itself. Disorder causes crime, and crime causes further disorder and crime. Read that one more again. Disorder causes crime, and crime causes further disorder and crime. Scholars generally define two different types of disorder. The first is physical disorder, typified by vacant buildings, broken windows, abandoned vehicles, and vacant lots filled with trash. Let's read that again. The first, scholars generally define two types of disorder. The first is physical disorder, typified by vacant buildings, broken windows, abandoned vehicles, and vacant lots filled with trash. The second type is social disorder, which is typified by aggressive panhandles, noisy neighbors, and groups of youth congregating on street corners. The line between crime and disorder is often blurred, with some experts considering such acts as prostitution and drug dealing as disorder, while many others classify them as crimes. While different, these two types of disorder are both thought to increase fear among citizens. The obvious advantage of this theory over many is criminological predecessors is that enables initiatives within the realm of criminal justice policy to affect change rather than relying on social policy. So once again, you relate your to give real quick just spiel to what that means is you're relying on this crime to fix the issue rather than relying on actual social change within creating organizations and what we talked about the keys in the beginning. So yeah, earlier social disorganization theories and economic theories offered solutions that were costly and would take a long time to prove effective. Look at that. To heal us after we've been in slavery, to heal us after we've gone through civil rights, it takes a long time. Look, let's read that again. Earlier social disorganization theories and economic theories offer solutions that were costly, too costly to help. That's reparations, sorry. And would take a long time to prove effective. Broken windows theory is seen by many as a way to affect change quickly and with minimal expense by merely altering the police crime control strategy. It is far simpler. This is an important sentence. It is far simpler to attack disorder than it is to attack such ominous social ills as poverty and inadequate education. It is far simpler to attack disorder than it is to attack such ominous social ills as poverty and inadequate education. So, they go more into the theory and practice, which I'll read one more paragraph. Although popular in both academic and law enforcement circles, broken windows theory is not without its critics. One line of criticism is that there is little empirical evidence that disorder, when left unchallenged, causes crime. To validate the theory in its entirety, it must be shown that disorder causes fear, that fear causes a breakdown of social controls, sometimes referred to as community cohesion. And that is this breakdown of social controls in turn causes crime. Finally, crime must be shown to increase levels of disorder. So I think so reading that, the broken windows theory, and really understanding man, that's a lot. That's a lot I just read right there. It's a lot to, because I mean, as a person of color, as a black man, that's traumatic. That's traumatic because on one hand, you had these two guys create this idea of lessening crime. On lessening crime, their whole idea was to lessen crime by building relationship with cops in the community. That was their whole idea, was here's this science and here's this idea of, hey, you can lower crime, whatever that crime may be, by implementing, these cops in the community. One thing I'll read right here is a quote from Kelling that he told Frontline on PBS. Kelling told Frontline that over the years, as he began to hear about chiefs around the country adopting broken windows as a broad policy, he thought two words: oh shit. Yeah, you're just asking for a whole lot of trouble, Kelling said. You don't just say one day, go out and restore order. You train officers, you develop guidelines. Any officer who really wants to do order maintenance has to be able to answer satisfactorily the question, why do you decide to arrest one person who's urinating in public and not arrest the other? And if you can't answer that question, if you just say, well, it's common sense, you get very, very worried. So yeah, he said, there's been a lot of things done in the name of broken windows that he regrets, that he regrets, which I mean is the main thing of what he's saying. Like, what looks like disorder? Now we talk about that in the black communities right there. If you're not attacking the ills, and black communities have been disproportionately flooded with liquor stores, compared to white counterpart neighborhoods. Our neighborhoods have been flooded with. If you go through, we'll have a show discussing the crack era. If you look at that time period and look at how our neighborhoods were flooded with drugs, if you're not attacking the well-being and the rehabilitation of our people, and you're only locking us up, how are you actually solving the issue? It becomes a thing now where police know, okay, that's why they can just stay in our neighborhoods, stay in our hoods, because they know, oh, okay, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. It's been calculated. They already know it. It's clockwork to them. They're making their money. And that's where we have to become more educated. And that's why we have to change our surroundings totally. We have to change our appeal totally, because we're already being judged, not just because of how we look, but just not. And when I say look, I'm talking about the skin before it even gets there to what even our surrounding looks like. Vacant buildings, parking lots full of trash. You are now in a disorderly living situation. In disorder, they're going to attack and assume crime happens here. Fear is happening here. If you show images and you create this image of where disorder happens, how it looks, how it feels, this whole broken windows theory, then yes, people are going to be fearful of their area. Yes, certain real estate and land is going to be, the value is going to go down because of this disorder look it now has. What does disorder really look like? Or what are you trying to make it look like? And how are you trying to help? Don't just attack, just say, oh, this area looks disordered, this area looks safe, this area looks unsafe. And that's what you're just going to attack and say, I need to police it. No, you need to help. You need to help heal it. We got to change this word of police and heal it. We need community healers. What does that disorder really look like? attacking disorder versus attacking the illness. There are organizations, you have plenty of organizations. I just don't want to give a list out right now, but we're going to do that one day on the show, is give a list of these organizations that I know. I see big brothers be big sisters in the neighborhood. I see these different organizations in the neighborhood, and I would like to know with police departments, how actively are you working in those Black communities to help build that trust in that community? Actively, white officers, how actively are you willing to listen and understand why we're pissed off? Actively, how are you going to Black people with your power and not with your fear, and asking us, yo, why don't you like me? Why don't you like me? What am I missing here? And then working with your colleagues on how to build that trust. How are you doing that? No, maybe you're just too scared to go to those Black neighborhoods without your gun. Let me see an officer do that. Maybe you're too scared to go there without your hand ready to be the judge and jury because of what fear you may feel inside, or whatever hate you may have in your heart. We need to stop that, and we need to eliminate that from our police departments. We need to eliminate that from our country. Seriously. You cannot have people that are here to protect and serve if they have other agendas that go against the humanity efforts of us all being together and in working together and evolving as humans. We're trying to evolve as humans. We can't even do that without you wanting to shoot us because you don't like how the color of our skin, or you don't like whatever you may not like inside. I don't know. It's your heart. It's your little mind that seems to be frustrated about something where you have this hate and fear in you, and you must use your badge to act as judge and jury. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And that's why I want to discuss and use this platform, Civics of the Culture, to talk about these issues and cases, bring them to light, but also bring us to some insight so we can have solutions and that we can be more strategic in this system that has been built to be against us. It's off stolen land. It's by enslaved people. Come on, you pull up the roots. So we're going to talk more about community policing. I want to really discuss the broken windows theory, because the theory, we say all the time we need to have cops in our neighborhood so we can build that relationship. But we really do need to have, look, at the end of the day, we're going to need police. We're going to need them in some form or fashion, because if something was to happen, something happens to my mom, something happens to my family member, something happens to me that could be serious and dangerous, who are you going to call sometimes? You want to have somebody that you can call and hope that they can be there to service you and help you, and not come there and think that you're you're the suspect and kill you or put you in any harm's way. That's not what you want at the end of the day. So no, we need those people that we can have in our neighborhoods, that we can trust, that we can help, that we can know they're there for our safety, and that we can know that they're for our well-being. We need those people. We really do need those people. And so it becomes to know, understanding how we can create that system, community partnerships, organizational transformation, problem solving. These are 3 keys right now we can start working on. I'm going to start preaching. I'm going to start finding organizations that we can start working on. And I'm going to put them on here and go blast, because we have to start working now. It's no more of the conversations. That's what Civics of the Culture is here for. On Watch LOTUS X. And I'm your host, Bennie, aka Poeticlee Williams. Remember, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a politician. However, I'm someone just like you that has access to information, to be educated, be insightful on the system that we're in. Let's be smart, let's rise up, let's stay positive, let's stay faithful. That's key. Let's stay connected with each other. It can be some dark times, it can be some lonely times. However, let's stay connected with each other. Let's use social media to our light and not just to our dark. Until next time, talk later.